my name is Billy.
Why are you so formal? I'm Nikel, and this is episode 1, hopefully of many, of what we're calling Wondering Out Loud, working title for the podcast. And it's just, I guess you're following us on our journey. We're reconnecting with ourselves. We're like mid to late 30s, kind of. Okay, whatever. But it's a let's figure out who we are now. We're kind of going into chapter 4, as I keep seeing on Instagram. So yeah, what does that look like?
Or the fourth floor. I heard people say, "Oh,
Fourth floor, yeah."
Or welcome to the sixth floor and all that kind of thing.
It's approaching. But I will start off with a memory. We kind of discussed yesterday, maybe sharing memories, sharing things that are wonderful and curious and joyful. But I think, I don't like to live in the past too much, but I think where our friendship is concerned, maybe one of the best times, I think when we were both at our best was when I was in Martinique. You came to visit.
Bro, I was literally talking about this trip the other day. No,
I don't think
the other day. I think I was telling my sponsor that
the pod sponsor.
I was telling my sponsor that I can't even remember how it came up in conversation. I said my sponsor, I think that was like 2 days ago. I was like, that's like a life-changing trip for me, kind of thing. It was a life-changing trip. And he was like, oh, like what made it life-changing? I think there was something about being in a country that I didn't have personal ties to, like in terms of like my country heritage or cultural background or anything like that. It wasn't Europe as well that you kind of knew. That just made it like, oh, there's just such a wide world out there. Like that's when I started that blog. Anyway, tell the memory.
It's that there's not a specific memory. I just don't think I've laughed so hard. Obviously, like I have, but that was just I can't really think of a bad moment. Even when it was a bit shaky when we were like driving through the ghetto. And the car
and the guy's thing came out. The drugs came out of his pocket when he bent down to.
Oh, I didn't see the drugs come out of his pocket.
I
just remember that the car.
Was it me that was driving?
Yeah. Well, obviously I didn't have a license.
Yeah. Okay.
So you were driving and the bumper came off. And it was just screeching down I just remember it was screeching. We were in whatever block we were in.
Yeah. And then there was some guy, I can't remember what part of...
Came to help us, but he was pulling off the bumper, really.
I literally think pills came out of his top pocket. And we was like, what?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, that was a bit... But it was cool.
Yeah. It's fine. We made it home. I took the car back to the people the next day and they were like, yeah, no, it's fine. I was like...
Yeah. We were like, oh no, they might take our money back. They might see that. Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, no, it was fine.
They're like, okay, thanks, bye.
But we just laughed. Then we went to Antigua. We stayed with my family there. It was just jokes. I remember that. Do you remember in the cinema when the chair we sat? My cousin took us to the cinema. I don't even remember, but this is in Antigua now. And you sat down in the chair.
Remember shit.
Just basically, it was like a lounge. It was a lounge chair, which we weren't used to in England. Yeah. So you just nearly fell back.
I don't remember that. I can imagine it though. So uncultured.
But yeah, no, just driving around, like, because Martinique's a beautiful island, so it was that freedom. I was learning to drive. Yeah. So I was driving, but yeah, no, it was just beautiful. But I think we were just both on form, like graduated, kind of going into whatever life. You know, it just kind of felt like it's a wide open road. Anything can happen. Yeah. And all of it is going to happen.
All is going to happen. There was so much possibility. And I just remember even flying from here. Wait, was I flying from here or was I flying from Paris at the time? Do you remember what year it was?
You were still living in England.
Okay. So I remember flying from here. Yeah.
But you would have gone
Orly,
through.
Flew into Orly. And I just remember I remember being shocked, first of all, that I didn't have to check anything passport-wise because I didn't.
Oh, yeah, you just walk out the airport.
Yeah, it's still French territory, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I didn't really clock that kind of thing. That was kind of mind-blowing. And yeah, I felt like an adult. Like, I mean, I've said this before. I said this about something else yesterday, but it was another moment in my young life, in my young adulthood, that made me feel like an adult.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like getting on the plane, practicing my little French. I don't know if I was planning to go to Paris already or something. I don't know what it was.
No, we discussed it. I think you were.
Yeah, okay.
And that was kind of like, no, I'm going.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like, we're toying with the idea. Yeah, exactly. Like, maybe I'll go.
Yeah, I feel like I might have even been doing some lessons at the Institut Français at the time. I don't remember. Anyway, there was definitely something about me practicing my little French on the plane and feeling like a little bit like, oh, I just ordered a nice tea. Do you know what I mean? And then getting there, obviously not knowing any actual proper enough French to get through. But yeah, that's a good memory. I agree. So cheers to that. Okay, so my wonder of the week, a little bit cliche maybe. I don't know. It's spring over here in London, and when at the beginning of the year, I remember looking out of the window, or maybe towards the end of last year, I remember looking out the window of our flat and be like, oh wow, the trees are so bare. They're just no leaves in it. It's grey, there's no leaves. And in the last week, I was like, wow, they've just grown so quick. That gave me wonder. Might be a little bit corny, but it's really giving me wonder. And
seasons changing.
Like, seasons changing. There was a plastic bag stuck on one of the branches for like months. And it's like, oh, I wonder if when the leaves come, it will go away. And now there's so many leaves, I can't even see the bag anymore. It might still be there, but
no, surely not.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, would it push it off or something? I don't know.
The wind.
I'll have to go down there. The wind. You say that it was very windy at the time. That bag was holding on for dear life. So yeah, that's giving me wonder. It's just made me feel like, damn, time just passes, kind of thing. And yeah, everything has its moments. And then of course there's the blossom. That's maybe even more like an obvious one. But like one day there's nothing, and then the next day there's like all these pink and white blossoms. It's just really nice.
This is definitely a good season. I think we all know that spring is like about renewal and all of that stuff, but it just feels like this year as well. I think I've mentioned to you before about the numerology of it all and the Chinese New Year, and what's the year of the snake, so that's about shedding old skins and kind of stepping into the new. And then it's 2025, and that's like symbols the number 9, which again is kind of it's just a recurring theme of like renewal, and then us even starting this podcast now.
True.
And I guess starting a new leaf as well in our friendship.
Like literally, yeah.
It's all just kind of coming full circle. So
yeah.
It's interesting that my memory and your wonder are still kind of...
They're linked. Yeah, definitely. Like getting into that good space for ourselves individually and then together.
Yeah.
And what experiences we get out of that.
Exactly.
So yeah. Okay, cool. So do we want to go into some questions?
Yeah, I believe you have some questions.
I believe you got some questions for me. How about that?
Why don't you start? Since I just
spoke last about my... Yeah, but I just spoke last about my... what's it called?
It don't matter.
All right. Okay, cool. So actually one thing that I've been thinking about... I think about this week, but actually I think it occupies my mind a lot generally. Okay. Is...
worrying.
Is what?
It's worrying.
No, it's not worrying. It's
what occupies your mind.
Yeah, okay, maybe that is worrying. But it's like... Okay, so there's so much information, right? We've got all these social media platforms, all these news platforms, all these things. And it doesn't there's not necessarily in the same way things that can like hold your attention in the same way that they might have sort of 15 years ago. So I was wondering, in this sort of fast information moving time, what does hold your attention these days? What kinds of things hold your attention? And like, I don't know, I don't have like a time frame of what attention might be, but maybe you would know it when you feel it.
What holds my attention? I don't know. I mean, you know that I listen to a lot of the podcasts, and I kind of feel like conversations are probably the thing that hold my attention the most. So whether that, if I'm watching an interview or listening to just people talk about their lives or whatever it is, I think it's, for me, that is maybe the good thing about social media and the internet, in that you can connect with people that you wouldn't necessarily cross paths with. I think it's definitely opened up a lot of things. And I just also feel like maybe where in some ways my life has been a little bit stagnant, and that I'm definitely not traveling as much as I did before. So I'm not meeting kind of the breadth of people that I would before. I think that still holds my attention in a good way. And other things are like fleeting. I might be watching something, but I don't really watch that much TV. I don't like watch the news. I don't read as much as I was. I do miss that, but I think like keeping space for different conversations, different people's experiences, whether those are like in my real life or something that I'm consuming, like on the internet or something. I think that's probably what it is.
In terms of conversations, are there like particular kinds of conversations you're drawn to, or like particular elements? Actually, I think I might know a bit about this already, but for the sake of, reconnecting.
Yeah.
Or reintroducing, like, are there particular things about those conversations?
I think it's always, because I'm quite a reflective person anyway, I'm always interested in either how people are connecting with themselves, and how they would like share their experiences and what sort of accountability or whatever it is, but also relationships. And I've watched and listened to a lot of relationship podcasts, whether it's people talking about their friendships, talking about being with their siblings, their parents, their partners. I just definitely find that interesting, and as well, that's given me, it's been really healing. Like obviously I've been to therapy as well at different points, or like spoken to coaches, whether it's about my career and stuff, but I that I find the most useful, or that's what has been the most helpful for me if I've been struggling, to be like, okay, this isn't an isolated thing. I don't know, there were some times when I was like, am I in a bubble where I'm the only person that's feeling these things? And then you kind of feel like you're, what's the, not it's not delusional, what's the word, when you're just kind of like making yourself a bigger thing than it needs to be. Like, okay, I don't, yeah. I can't think of the word right now, but it's like, am I just doing this to myself? Am I really like making this thing bigger than it needs to be? So I found like listening to other people, whether they're like on the other side of the world, and they're like, oh yeah, this is something that I've been with. And then even just like speaking about friendships, because we tried to speak to my mum and my sister about it, and I think we just all approach friendship differently. But speaking to them and then now speaking to other people in their different friendship groups, and it's just like, yeah, we kind of all go through that, but I think experiencing hardship in a friendship doesn't get
as much airtime.
Yeah,
for sure.
We all kind of know how to deal with a breakup with a lover, with a partner,
right? But like endless articles and flipping whatever.
Yeah, but they don't really talk about it. Just a shift in friendships, sometimes with families as well. But anyway, yeah, that's what holds my attention.
I was talking the other day about how much so much of our time is spent managing relationships, like on a day-to-day basis. Various relationships, and outside of even like personal ones, could be work ones. I mean, you
can 100%.
And it's like, where's the time? Do you know what I mean? Like, where is really the time? And where's the time and where's the tools?
And that's why I find it so important to listen to these conversations, because you just cannot get away from dealing with other people.
You just can't.
Or dealing with yourself. Like, you can,
first of all,
you can attack yourself, you can have conversations with yourself, you can heal yourself, whatever, but it's, yeah, you can't. Anyway, that's my life.
And then the thing is also about dealing with yourself is that it could easily go one of two ways. Obviously there's a range of ways it could go, but it could easily go one of two ways. One of which is where you validate everything you do, and everything you do is the right way to do it. And then the other way, where you just like completely self destruction kind of thing, like completely bringing yourself down.
Yeah.
And it's like it's obviously shouldn't be either of those things. There's definitely some middle ground. But yeah, so much of our time is spent managing relationships. I'm wondering now also, how do you feel like you approach friendships? Just as you mentioned that just now. Or how do you feel you would like to? How do you feel like you would like to participate in friendships? Does it change accordingly? Do you know what I mean? Like,
it changes. I don't know if how to phrase it. It's not that I'm not bothered. I kind of don't make friendships the be all and end all. I think I was very much like, these are my friends. This is how I have to show up for my friends, and vice versa. This is how they have to show up for me, which doesn't always give enough grace for just life shifts, like for people to grow. We change. Sometimes we'll go, like, we'll separate from each other and then we'll come back. And I think I'm just, I think it's what's the word? Transitional. Yeah. I don't think this is always gonna I don't think this is how I'm gonna feel all the time. I just think at the moment I'm kind of like, do you know what, let's just leave people to be who they're gonna be, and just concentrate on you and who you want to be for yourself. And then I think I will come back into really opening myself up for friendship and stuff like that. Not to say that I don't have friends, or I'm not trying to be friendly with people, but I'm trying to shift where the priority was before.
Is that on a person by person basis, or like generally with friends? Oh, this is what I'm on, kind of thing.
I think generally.
Okay.
I think because I also don't want the expectation on me. So it's not even just like, oh, well, everyone's let me down and I can't trust people. It's also like, actually, I don't want people to, whether it's that I'm on a pedestal, they really want me to show up in certain ways. I just don't have the capacity to do that right now. So it's kind of like,
do you have to communicate that, or do you just live it and then people should?
It's not always worked out well for me when I've communicated it. I try to be as honest as possible, and that's again going back to if I'm listening to these podcasts and really having the confidence to do that. I'm trying to advocate for myself more, and find different ways to say things. I think most people who are actually in my life, who are actually like my friends, I think they probably understand where the boundary is. I don't know. Some people I've had to communicate, I don't have the capacity to do this, or I'm not going to be able to do that. But really, for the most part, I don't think I've necessarily changed in how I show up for people. I
literally don't think you've changed. No, obviously you've changed, but I literally feel like you've been pretty consistent for like almost 30 years. How have I navigated an issue or awkwardness with a friend? Do you know what? Yeah, it's one of the things where it actually depends on the friend. There's sometimes with some friends where I feel like even if we're very close, there's still an element of not feeling 100% secure in the relationship, that something could go left, like oh fuck it, just not a friend anymore kind of thing. And so that gives me more anxiety than a friend that I feel more secure. I mean, it's kind of obvious, obviously when you say it's kind of obvious, but so I think in those instances there's a tendency for me to want to try to resolve it quickly, to make sure that we get through it quickly and we get through to the other side without, like, with as least tension as possible and without too much of an upset. And then for somebody that I know, somebody that I feel more secure with, I think I can directly say the thing in a more considered way with less angst.
Yeah.
And so maybe I do want to resolve them both.
Have you had to do that? Yeah. Either in the non-secure space?
Yeah. Okay. In both. Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking, like in one example, it would just I'd be thinking about it with more angst. So I'd be thinking about both of them, but I'd be thinking about it with more angst and nervousness.
Yeah.
And then the other one, like, okay, regardless, I know that we're together kind of thing. It's like, it is what it is forever, or I think in my mind it is what it is.
Yeah.
But you should know XYZ kind of thing. I felt XYZ.
Yeah. I don't know that I've experienced distance with that many people in a noticeable way. I think there are some times when you're just like, oh, they're just going through a season.
But not just distance, an issue.
But I don't really have that. I don't think I've had that many issues that have become a thing, if that makes sense.
Okay.
People will do things and you're like, oh, that was a bit left. But I think I can easier. I'm just not maybe emotionally attached to those things. But I'd say maybe to address more directly when we were having issues, I think it was just like, it felt like the distance wasn't being taken seriously, or like we were clearly just in different spaces, which is fine. But I think it felt a bit like, because you're not feeling what I'm feeling, you're not able to validate it, if that makes sense. Like, you don't have to feel how I feel about something, but I felt like it should have been enough for me to be like, look, this is
how I feel. And it's supposed to be like, oh.
Yeah, just took a look. Okay, let me take stock. I wasn't feeling that, fair enough. But let me just hear what you're saying. And it just felt like for a long time, we just weren't connecting. We were kind of like up, down.
Oh, hold on.
Newsflash.
Yeah, exactly. Breaking news. Excuse us. We're just going to check what the breaking news is.
My thing's actually off. So. My data.
Look. Can you see what she's with?
No. Oh.
Do you know what's actually funny about that? Yeah.
What?
That was in my dream yesterday.
Was it?
I swear
Okay,
down.
go on. You broached that one first.
I'm gonna broach it diplomatically. I wasn't thinking about that when we was having this. That wasn't even. Yeah, that wasn't mind at all. I wasn't thinking.
I forgot.
Yeah, I wasn't. Well, I don't think that's for me to say. I think that's a you topic.
So to give one example then of a different friend that I fell out with, we just, I don't know. Anyway, we were friends from like college. So we were friends for maybe like 5 years, which between the ages of like 17 and 23 or whatever, that's a long time. That's quite a significant portion of like your adulthood and growing up and stuff. So I don't even really understand why we fell out. We fell out a couple of times. The first time that we fell out, I can only, from when we resolved it, I think she was just going through something. Maybe I wasn't supportive, which to me feels hard because I kind of take the way that I show up for my friends quite seriously, and I don't feel like I'm an unsupportive or person, or that I don't understand things. But whatever, we can all go through things. And I did address it with her directly, but probably only out of anger because she started talking to Billy again.
She stopped talking to me.
She stopped talking to everyone. So she had like a moment. She stopped talking to everyone. There was maybe like a group of 4 of us. She stopped talking to everyone. Needed a bit of space, and then she started talking to you again. And I was like, hold on a minute. I'm like your friend. I'm your closest friend. I'm the person that you call all the time. I'm the person that helps you or shows up for you. At least that's how it was from my perspective. So I did like call her out on it, and I was like, what's going on? Because you've actually just stopped talking to me. You haven't given me any sort of context. You're not giving me a reason. You've not given me a chance to explain. And so we had that conversation, and I think she was kind of like, oh, okay, I'm glad that you've spoken to me because I didn't think you cared, blah, blah, blah. And this was over the phone. Yeah, I think I remember being at uni, and I was fuming. So I remember like leaving the library and being like, no, you're not just going to not talk to me. What's going on? At least tell me what the problem is. And then if we can't resolve it, we can't resolve it. Then when I was next in London, we met up and we kind of squashed it. And even then I was like, it's not even that I'm trying to be your friend again. I just feel like we need a resolution. You can't just drop people out. So then we were kind of fine for a few months, maybe a year, maybe it wasn't even up to a year. And then it kind of came around again. And I don't know. I don't even know what happened. I haven't spoken to her since. I sent her a text message. She didn't respond, and that was it. Done.
I guess I've got a thing from that. Like, what in terms of that experience, and just the us discussing just now about managing relationships or managing maybe what actually was from my point of view, some that I feel more secure, some that feel less secure. Did you take anything from that experience as to how you, even though you said you're not having them kind of situations so much anymore, but there's anything that you took from that to like how you conduct conflict or whatever in relationships?
Well, I guess with that one, I didn't address the conflict again. I just left it alone. But also, you just can't necessarily be everything that people want you to be.
Oh, I've got another question actually.
Go on.
How did that, if at all, did like fast forward now? Because obviously, okay, a bit of background. Like, we've obviously known each other for like 20 something.
20-something years, 25 years.
25 years. And that's a quarter of a century.
Just in case you didn't know.
Congrats to us. We should have a
quick
party.
Laughs.
Yeah, we should go on holiday. We should do a anniversary. Actually, we should get to that as well. Oh my gosh, so many things to park. All right, fine. So hold on, let me backtrack. Okay, yeah. So going from that and going back to when we've had our is it Discord? Our tensions. Is there anything that from being in the position whereby you felt you felt like you were you felt like the other person felt like their feelings weren't validated, even though you felt like you were validating their feelings, and then going to the point where you felt like your feelings weren't validated, even though it's not the same dynamic. But is there anything, are there any parallels, or are there any things you can see
Yeah.
You know, between those two experiences.
I don't know if this is going to answer your question, but what annoyed me about that, and it's come up again with maybe other people, is I don't like feeling this weight of expectation. Like, I'm, almost like I didn't sign up to be your best friend or your confidant.
Right.
I'm just trying to be me.
Yeah.
But I can hold space for people to like a certain degree. If you have a problem, I can give you my best sort of advice. So then all of a sudden, when there's this expectation that I'm going to have to hold your hand through everything, I don't, maybe it's just a kind of categorize, which I'm trying to do so less of, like, this is my best friend, this is my sister, and then these are my friends. And I don't mean to be like, down their base, like, so this is the person that can come and voice something, or this is the person that can have this expectation from me because this person is family. We're just cool, we're just brethren. So it's like, what's the problem here? But I'm trying to be less like that, because again, like, so I don't think it has to be mutual. I think before I was like, how can I be your best friend if you're not my best friend or whatever? But I don't think it has to be like that anymore. So that's very much what we're going, like 15 years ago. That's very much where I was like, we ain't that. So you need to chill out, because I'm not going to do that. So I don't know. And then maybe that's when we were going through our stuff. Maybe I was kind of being like, oh, maybe we're not that. Yeah. So it kind of came back, and it was like, okay, maybe you're just going to have to hold this one, because you can't force people to feel about you the way that you feel about them, etc. Like, if it was a boyfriend, that would very much be the advice that I'd be given. Like, so you just say, yeah.
The funny / interesting thing about that, is that it just made me think again about when we was like younger, like in secondary school.
Yeah.
And where we had Discord in a similar kind of way, actually. Like, where I was like, oh, doing my thing, whatever. Don't roll your eyes, please. I was taking you seriously.
I have to use this, but I'm sure I have a different take. My God.
No, in that, I feel like that same pattern repeated itself almost 20 years later. Where
it's definitely, it's not a singular incident.
Yeah. So it's just, that's just what I thought was interesting. That's it.
That we go through these cycles
every 20 years, or maybe not every 20 years, but like whatever. But yeah, no, just come to think of it, like, oh no, we kind of went through this before, in a way, in a version of this before, when we was, I don't know, 15 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then again, at literally 35 or something, or around that, or sometime in the early 30s, whatever. And then I don't know, I guess the difference between then and now is that, which is kind of actually, again, the whole idea why we want to like have these conversations, is that then we were so intensely spending time around each other. So things would resolve in a much speedier way or in a different way. Whereas now there was a point where we was living in different continents, and having very different lives. So things just, that gap, the distance was just more literal as well, kind of thing. So
a whole pandemic as well.
A whole pandemic.
And we had very different experiences of that pandemic. And I don't think we could relate to what.
Absolutely. I think so. And I just felt like, for whatever reason, I can't really say why. And maybe one day we'll be able to and give you a proper answer, which I think you deserve. But for some reason, I just felt like I was just like kind of like with like everybody or most people. And I can't say why. And I don't think I realized, no, I definitely didn't realize at the time I was doing that. But it's like in hindsight, like, oh yeah, that's what I was doing. And I was like sort of I was doing that with you when you were definitely not the person that needed to, like, even if I was doing this with you, I could have done this with you and that with everybody else. At least yours could have been a little bit more like.
Thank you. Why
with these, man?
Yeah, literally. I'm sorry. I haven't seen you since.
Anyway. So,
joke on. But yeah, but that's how it felt. But there was a whole pandemic as well, and I think it was like a compound effect. I'm not
like, I don't have an answer for you. Do you know what I mean?
That's just where you are, babe. Okay, I'm out.
One day I will, though. One day One day.
But you might not
I
ever.
not? No,
You might not ever have the answer.
But I recognize it. Do you know what I mean? And so, I'm sorry.
Do you want a break?
I need a little tissue break. At least if I went like this, it would have been a bit better.
Because if everyone was doing this pandemic, if I don't come too close, fuck off.
Just thinking about why I was distancing people, because like you mentioned, obviously pandemic, and truthfully for me, pandemic was a fantastic. Sounds so mad, but it was a really good time.
People, it
was a good time. We wasn't in this country. We was, living our best life.
You weren't in the trenches.
In the war, weren't in trenches, living our best life in the war. Beautiful house. We had where we used to live. We had a school opposite, and they were loud as hell. It was pandemic, and they weren't in. So that was beautiful. Like everything was just dreamy, and I just felt like, oh, okay. I think I couldn't connect, like you said, I couldn't. It wasn't that I didn't understand that there was this awful pandemic. And I remember, I think that was one of the times where I was like, I'm not reading the news anymore, because I can't keep seeing, 500 people died this hour. Like this, it's all long. Do you know what I mean?
That was awful.
Yeah, and so I while I was obviously very aware of what people were going through, where I had like stopped reading the news, stopped trying to have those things disturb my peace, inadvertently I obviously did that with other people. And where also I don't have so many, really and truly, I actually don't really have that many people very, very close to me. You already know what it is, kind of thing. It would be, those people might not necessarily feel it in the same way. I just think essentially it wasn't fair of me to, even if I was distancing everybody by 50%, the nature of our relationship meant that I was distancing you by 150%. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? And then putting you all on the same line, kind of thing, whereby we were already. So do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
If you were like hair, and they were, again, not to necessarily hierarchy. Well, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But like, if I'm saying everyone has to go back here, you have to go further back than everybody else,
because I was already a few steps closer. Yeah.
More than a few.
Yeah.
So I think that is part of it. And yeah, I don't know. And then coming out of that, and then having to make that right. I don't know how to do that either. Do you know what I mean? And fumbling all over that as well, and wanting you to know that I'm taking you seriously, but not knowing what actions would prove that, or what I could say to prove that.
Because also, like, we're not 15 anymore. It's one of those things where, and I think it happens in all relationships, in that we're all doing this, or I'm different, like I'm grown, or I'm growing, I'm changing, I'm not that same person, I'm not that same person.
I was doing that.
But then we revert back to,
that's why I said 20 years
what would have worked before. So it's like, well, that don't work anymore.
Exactly.
Like, you can't, not that you ever just bought me sweets to, like, if we had an argument, but it's like, it's different now, it's more complex, or like what I was going through it's not on the same level of what
Absolutely
I was going through
at
25. Like, what I'm going through at 35, they're different. So we have to resolve it differently. And that's both of us having to make space for, this is how I am. This is how I am now. This is where I am now. This is how you can reach me. And that has to be a mutual thing.
And I think it just really goes back to also, again, as you mentioned, like with people connecting with themselves, it's like, oh, actually what would feel like right for me in this situation? Like, actually, if, like, what does make me feel more seen or closer or validated? Like how can I identify what those things actually are, kind of thing? And yet, I mean, only that person can do that for themselves, isn't it? And then you can communicate it, or try to communicate.
Yeah.
But then, I, like you said, okay, maybe, when I was we used to just, go buy some sweets or go do this thing. Okay, obviously now I don't just want to pack a Haribo, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but what do I want? I don't even know. Sometimes it's a thing whereby you haven't been exposed to the thing that you want, so you don't know that it even exists. So yeah, I think that's my thoughts on that. Do you want to add anything?
No, actually. I was a bit. I'm just gonna take a deep breath, but I'm sure something will come up later in the conversation.
Yeah. I mean, this is like the point to a certain extent. Like, this is not the point. Sorry, this is an element of it. So it's probably gonna just be a recurring thing. whichever word it is. Yeah,
That's fine.
Do you have any more questions for me? Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I don't.
Have you got any questions?
That was a tangent.
Yeah, innit?
Oh no, where are my questions? I actually don't know which one to ask because we've kind of gone
juicy. Watch out for part 2.
Maybe we could just talk about what part of yourself have you learned to accept?
Oh gosh, actually, maybe having pre-questions isn't a bad idea. Okay, what part of myself have I learned to accept? The part of myself, I think, I don't know if I've learned to accept it or it's something I can say I do accept it. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think I am somebody that is capable of a lot, but I accept that I might not do a lot to the outside. Like I might not be like, I might not appear to be super high achieving, but I know I accept that I'm probably capable of it, but I'm comfortable not going for all those kind of things. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't even know if that's something I've learned. I don't think it's necessarily something I've struggled with, but it's something that I accept about myself and I'm okay with.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? What about yourself?
I don't know. That's why I almost didn't pick that question. I don't want this girl to bring it back to me. But what's coming to mind now is that I have really high standards. And again, maybe similar to you, it's not to me anyway. I have really high standards. I don't know if everyone would say the same thing, but it can be a gift and a curse basically, and that's why I'm saying I've learned to accept it about myself, because I hold myself to a certain standard. I hold people in my life to a certain standard, and I think sometimes I would feel bad about it, kind of going like, oh, you're sensitive, or not everyone is like that, blah blah blah, you shouldn't have these expectations. So maybe I'm contradicting what I said earlier in kind of giving people grace and doing all of that, but regardless, I still think, but this is how I want people to show up for me. This is how I want to show up for myself. This is how I want to show up for people. And I don't think it's a bad thing to expect things from people. Like, not everyone can be all of these things all of the time. But I think if you're going to be present, if I'm going to be present for me, and if people are going to be present for me, then this is how I want people to show up. And I'm trying to reclaim.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask
myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you feel like, was there a point where you're like, oh, okay, I'm trying to move away from that, or
like, don't expect anything from anyone?
Okay, yeah.
Blah. And it's like, no, that's silly. What's the point? Why are you here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think community or human life works like that. Like, we're not vacuums, we're not silos. Like, we do need people to show up for us in certain extents. And not everybody, like I say, not everybody has to show up here. But the point of community is that some people can show up here, some people can show up there, and everyone kind of gives, a rounded.
But show up the best that you can in the moment.
Like, truly.
Yeah.